All right, welcome back to part 2 in determining the next term in the geometric sequence. So we figured it out that the ratio between each of these terms is a negative 1/3. We did that by taking term 2, negative 100, and putting that on top, and then taking term 1 and putting that on the bottom, and we reduce the fraction to get a negative 1/3. Right? Now we're going to multiply that negative 1/3 with each term to get the next term in the sequence. And if something doesn't go right when you're practicing this, go back to that first step. All right, so right now we're going to check and make sure. Because if I multiply 300, the first term, times negative 1/3, I should get simplified fraction, that second term. And we're going to do that now. So 300, and I'm showing the invisible one. If you're not familiar with invisible ones, please check out my video on invisible ones. It clarifies so much that makes mathematics confusing for students. That's video on invisible ones. So that 300 has a 1 underneath it. I write it as a dot, 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 invisible 1. When you multiply fractions, 300 times negative 1/3, you multiply top to top and bottom to bottom. So invisible 1 times 3 is 3, or 1 times 3 is 3. Negative 1 times 300 is a negative 300. Okay, so I just brought my work down here. Negative 300/3. Now I want to reduce or simplify this fraction to its smallest form, which means I will divide top and bottom by a number that will divide evenly without a remainder. I know negative 300 can be divided by 3. That gives me a negative 100. And 3 divided by 3 is the invisible 1. So that gave me my next term. That's a really good sign that the ratio is a negative 1/3 between each of these terms. Let me rephrase that. That each term has a product after you multiply that ratio of a negative 1/3. All right, so continuing on, hey, let's take a look at this term number 2. Negative 100. Let's multiply negative 100 and see by the negative 1/3, and let's see if our product, the answer to a multiplication problem, turns out to be the value of term 3 given in the problem. So remember, top to top, bottom to bottom, there's an invisible 1 underneath that. Negative 100, negative 100 times a negative 1, negative times a negative, always gives me a positive. Anything times 1 is itself, so negative 100 times a negative 1 is a positive 100. And 1 times 3 is 3. Now, I want to reduce or simplify this fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 3 into top and bottom. I know 3 divided by 3 gives me a remainder of 0, right? I can divide evenly 3 into 3. So then I'm also going to divide 3 into 100. And I end up 3 divided by 3 in the denominator, the bottom part of the fraction, gives me that invisible 1. 100 divided by 3 gives me 33.3. Wow, look at that. That's our third term. I'm feeling very confident now that if I multiply this third term times the ratio, my product, or the answer to a multiplication problem, will be my fourth term. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my third term, 33.3, and multiply times a negative 1/3 you see here. That will give me that fourth term value. All right, so let's take that last term, third term, 33.3. Remember, there's an invisible 1 in the bottom of this number. And we multiply fractions. It's, again, top to top and bottom to bottom. Negative 1 times 33.3 is a negative 33.3. 1 times 3 equals 3. Now I want to, again, reduce this fraction to its very, very, very smallest part. There's two things you could do here in order to do that. Divide 3 into top and bottom like I'm showing you here. Or you could also divide negative 33.3 by 3, since that will give you a remainder of 0. Whichever is easiest for you is the option you should choose. That will give us our term 4 and our answer. So you can see here, when we reduce that fraction, we end up with the fourth term, negative 11 and 1/10, or negative 11.1. The answer is B. Stick around. Hang tight for a few more seconds. I'm going to give you some suggestions to search the internet so you can find worksheets with answers so you can practice these new skills. All right, welcome back. Welcome back here to finding internet search options. You want to look for worksheets with answers on the following topics. Finding the next term in a geometric sequence. If I'm going too fast, please stop, pause, rewind the video. Reduce or simplify fractions. Remember, those are worksheets with answers on multiplying fractions. Worksheets with answers on multiplying integers, positive and negative numbers. Do an internet search on finding worksheets with answers on practicing multiplying, practicing dividing using long division. So if you enter these into your search, this will help you build your knowledge, your skills, your abilities in mathematics, especially associated with these GED HiSET math assessment test questions. Remember, math is easy. Take it step by step. If I have helped you, please help me to help others. Please like, follow, and share these videos.